day hasn't changed. I don't know why I'm looking at my watch. The 27th. Tuesday, 27th. I mean, this week is just absolutely flying by. Nikarutsu, legend. Scott is already in the chats. Absolute two legends of this channel. And I hope you guys are doing extremely well. So the first thing to say is, look, get into this amazing community. Get into, you know, be respectful to the community. Be respectful to the moderators. Be respectful to me. Otherwise, the ban hammer comes out, and you know. We don't like doing it, but we will absolutely bring out the banhammer. Dino is in the house, absolutely legend. Jaden, Man City, my friend. I hope you're doing extremely well. Well done on your victory. 2-0 at City and 3-0 at Arsenal. Jaden, mate, look, I hope you're doing extremely well, my friend. Legend as well, buddy. Look, look, we seemingly helped Arsenal, and then we went on and helped you guys as well. So you know, it is what an interesting 2 weeks it has been. So look, get into this amazing community. In my view, this is the most amazing community on this platform. Danny is in the house, legend Danny, absolute thanks buddy for being here. Second thing to say is yeah, exactly, don't forget to like, favorite and subscribe. It really does help the channel. Manchester has the best curries in the northwest, says Scott B. Every time I've been up there, we've gone for one, and it's always amazing. I do think Brick Lane in London will give it a run for its money, but you know, that's me. Dorgu's out for 10 weeks, yes, and we will get on to that as well, Dino. I think any doubts that United had about doing any signings in this window, I think that's been put to bed. I think they basically have to. Scott says, I'm eating one now, mate. Tell me your curry of choice. And this is that show tonight. This is that show tonight. This is your show tonight. And I bring in curries, bring in whatever you like, and we'll talk about all that good stuff as well. Jamie Vargas is in the house, absolute legend. Jamie is a legend as well. Are we signing Baleba or Ndidi? Mate, Baleba's not coming. Baleba's not coming until the summer. I would look. We are winning games. We've just beat top of the two best teams in the Premier League. Wouldn't it be amazing if we pulled out Baleba? Like, wouldn't it be amazing if this club actually had some ambition and pulled it out? But look, you know, as I've said before, and I've been saying this since October, I've been saying this for the longest time. I was told that we're not going to do any business in this window. And if we did, it was going to be a cheap signing, a loan signing, very, very specific, a very, very cheap, or a loan signing towards the back end of the window. My guy's been right. My guy's been pretty right so far. So I don't think Baleba's going to come now anyway. So he says, love from Pakistan. Well done, my friend, and thank you for being here, my friend. Who will play left winger? Cunha. Mason Mount, Cunha. Logan says them. Knowing the board, they will think we will be okay with that. Dorgu, exactly. Tikka masala and some tandoori chicken, some naan bread, masala sauce, and some Pepsi. Scott is on it. Scott's got a curry. Curry is in the house, and Scott is all over it. Wonderful Horseshoe says, congratulations on beating Action Man. You can hear the bottles. You can hear the bottles tune, fan. Thanks, mate. Look, you know, you can, and look, mate, thank you for being here, buddy. I do appreciate you being here as well. Look, we've got into the chat straight away. I always say this, and I shouldn't forget to say this. There's something on my glasses that's really pissing me off. I always say this. Look, I'm not a dictator of this chat, so you know I do read out your chats. So get in there with your comments. You know, like, give us a like. Give us a favorite. Give us a subscribe. Even if you don't subscribe, right? Just give give the video a quick like, because it really does help out the channel. And look, appreciate it. So let's get through the chats, because the glasses are doing me in. I think needs a break. Since the game where they flew off of my face, I think they're broken. Yeah, so Dorgu's out for 10 weeks. Let's go what we're saying. Our board needs to open the biscuit tin and bring out some players in the squad. Yeah, the board need to bring out the good biscuits. The board needs to stop serving rich tea biscuits. You know, rich teas are fine. I think rich tea have a purpose. They need to bring out the hobnobs. They need to bring out the chocolate bloody hobnobs. You know, they need to bring out those sorts of biscuits. Now put away the rich teas. You know, okay. You know, you've got your custard creams. Now, don't get me wrong. A custard cream has its place. A custard cream is more like the kind of a custard cream is a squad player, right? It is not world-class biscuit. It's not an ordinary biscuit. A custard cream is a good, honest biscuit. What you want is a superstar biscuit. You want a hobnob, chocolate hobnobs. Those are what you want. Logan says, I'm not happy because I can't get a ticket for City versus Galatasaray tomorrow. I want to watch Gundogan again. Make says, hey, I'm a United fan from Macedonia. Welcome, my friend. Absolutely amazing to have you here. And Rice as well, JB. Can't forget the rice. You can't. Tell you something. I tell you something. AFTV was great to watch. So fun. And look, I know, Scott, you said that you sent me something, right? I can't see it, mate. I've not received anything at all, so I don't know what you sent, but I can't see it. If anyone says anything, this is water, by the way. No, it is. Look, it's sparkling water. So, you know. Transfer rumour, Ahmad to Accrington Stanley. Sally says, whoever replaces Dorgu has to do the defensive work. I feel Ahmad could do it in Burma back on the right. Sally, legend, my friend, and hope you're doing extremely well, my buddy. I agree with you. We need somebody who's going to, you know, I like Mbumo as a 9. I really, really do like him. And look, you know, the one of the first parts I wanted to bring into the show, and I didn't think that we'd be having this conversation on the basis that a couple of weeks ago, you know, and rightly so, right? You know, this team wasn't in a good place. You know, Dorgu was playing left wing back. It was quite clear that wasn't his position. You know, and I know some players still get pelters, but imagine, cast your mind back, right, to 6 weeks ago, right? This fan base, a chunk of us on here were basically defending Dorgu, saying, look, he's just a young kid, you know, he needs time, right? Fast forward 6-7 weeks, we're now talking about Dorgu being one of the better players in this team. And I never would have thought we'd be having the conversation about, Dorgu's out. Dorgu's out for 10 weeks. And look, this is a question as well, or more of a, it's not a question, this is more of an observation. Is Dorgu going to be out for more than 10 weeks? You know, I think this could be a near season ender for Dorgu. You know, if you look at Delict has been out, or was supposed to be out for a couple of games. He's been out for nearly 2 months. Mason Mount, and we all know, and you know, we know our medical department isn't always the best. They give us a timeline. You know, Bruno Fernandes was only supposed to be out for a game or 2. He was out for 3 or 4 games. I think this could be potentially, maybe not a season ender, but I think this could be an April job. I think this could be a back end of the season job. We already needed a midfielder. I think we need 2. But look, do you guys think we've got enough to cover the Dorgu, or do you think we actually now need two? I still think we needed a midfielder. And look, we can get into all of the buzz and all of the talk that I've seen this afternoon as well. But look, I want to know your opinions. Do you think we're going to make a signing now? I think it's nailed on to do a Ndidi. I think it's nailed on to do one of those sorts of signings. So give me your views on that, and I'll go through the the chat. Vote Hobnob, says Dino. Sounds like a really bad hamstring pull or a slight tear for Dorgu being out for that long. It was on a comment, JB. All right, okay. I'll look at it. Hello, Maxiz. Are you streaming any Champions Leagues tomorrow? No. I'm not. Wednesday is my no streaming day. I might what I might do, because they seem to work reasonably well, is I might do what I did or what I have done before, is I might put up a stream and you guys can just like have a chat for it. So I might do one of those again. It seemed to reasonably work. I think it brings the community together. You guys can still have a conversation. You guys can still have a chat as well. So I might do that tomorrow, and then I'll be on the chat as well. So maybe SS Red says feel for Dorgu. Things finally started to kick off for him. Exactly. Russia greetings. What a great win. I got goosebumps second day yet, mate. Thank you. Liam says thoughts on bringing Rashford back to bolster the width. Now that Dorgu is out, we now have a great shot at Champions League and need to throw everything at it. And look, guys, the thumbnail says some stuff. We will go through that as well, but like, get in your questions and I'll give you my view, and you guys as well bring in your opinions to that. Rashford, I think Rashford is a good question. To which, what would be my answer to this is that if Rashford came back, and I'll tell you for what I would be not necessarily open-armed, but reticent to him coming back. And the reason for that for me is the way that he left, right? I also would, out of any players that have gone back other than a Højlund, I would accept Rashford coming back. There's bridges that I don't know if he can build, but I think we've moved on from Rashford. There are so many Rashford fans out there, and give me your views and opinions on him and what you think about him. Because look, I get it. There are people out there. I think we've moved on from Rashford. I actually think we've got better players than a Rashford. I think that Rashford is one of those players that's now getting left behind. I don't think Rashford is going to get any better. I don't want players, could you use Rashford as a squad player? Of course. Can Rashford still hit his peak? Of course he can. Rashford should be in peak now. But I don't know if peak Rashford is going to come back and be that player. I think we've moved on from Rashford. I think we should move on from Rashford. But look, Liam, if Rashford is still our player, right? If we could get a fully focused, happy Rashford who knows he is not the be-all and the end-all in this team, and he's fully firing, 100%. Look, who wouldn't want a fully firing local Manchester lad to do well? Who wouldn't want an academy player? Who's got more right? And look, I am not the biggest fan of this, especially after the threats that I've had. But Marcus Rashford is more entitled than me to play for the club. That is where he was born and bred, right? So it would be, I would love him to come back. I'd love him to be that guy, to come back. But I think we've got to move away from these Rashford players, who is. Look, he would come back, and again, it would be the Marcus Rashford show. if we could bring him back, a focused player, the noise around him would need to die down. And if that happened, bring him back. But I think that we've moved on. I think he's right. I think he's right for him. But look, Amarin is gone. We all know this club is cheap. Let's see where we are. What a dead brick Isak has been. I can see Dorgu being a Bell type of player in the future. I genuinely forgot Isak existed. I think there's a long way to go. I see what you mean by the comparisons with Bale. I don't think he's there yet. I thought, I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch Bale at that age. I know what you mean. He's pace. He's powerful. A very, very good shot on him. I always found Bale not so much of a finesse player, but he was very, very athletic. Very much of that athletic. Very, very strong. Very, very good shot. And at one time, you could argue he was probably the best player in the world as well. So look, Dorgu, I think Dorgu can be anything he wants to be. And let's see. SS Red says, more minutes for Lacey perhaps as a sub late on for Cunha games. I heard that Lacey might go on loan. That's what I heard. Would you consider Tony for United? 100%. 100%. If we could get Tony on a decent deal, all day long. If you're asking me, would I rather go and get one of the world's best strikers? 100%. But I think the way that football is moved right now, I don't think it's necessary to have a world-class strikers right now seem to be, I would only probably say Mbappe, if you could call him a striker. Mbappe, Harry Kane, Haaland. I think Haaland he's going through some stuff. But other than that, I wouldn't mind not having one of those. If we can spread the goals amongst the team, Mateta, Tony. I think Tony's been away, but look, I would have him there as a second striker. As somebody that can help and teach. A Shesko, Mateta for me would be the one. I think he is the right age. I think he is the right price. I think he is the right type of striker to teach a Shesko. And then I'd like to see a younger striker be pushed through as well. So when I say that, ideally what I'd like a main striker, and then you have your sort of have your number two who's a bit older. I'd probably like Shesko to be in and around that 20-25 mark. So if we had, say, like a Harry Kane and a Shesko, and then you have like a younger striker, I'd like to see that. But I think Mateta would be brilliant. I also would like a Tony as well. Strange feelings that a game versus Fulham can be harder than City or the Gunners. Agreed. Look, City for me, Fulham to me is probably you're going to learn more about the Fulham game than you will against an Arsenal. Don't get me wrong, the Arsenal game was fantastic. You don't go away to Arsenal. You don't go away to that stadium with that back four, and you don't do what we did without being a good team. When you then drop down a level, and no disrespect to Fulham, Fulham are a well-run, well-oiled, well-drilled team. How are you going to then deal with games like that are not as highly focused, highly intense? What are you going to do when they say you can have the ball? What are they going to do then? What are they going to do when they got to push up? What are they going to do when teams don't have the ball? They'll give you the ball, and then they'll happily kick the ball behind. They've got somebody who's really, really fast, and they play the simple stuff. The Fulham game for me is where is what we're going to see. And if we get through Fulham, Spurs, West Ham, so those are the games for me that really intrigue me. Dorgu still needs Dino. He does, mate. Dino, Dorgu needs time. I've always said this, and again, look, this is the part for me that I think I struggle with at times in this fan base. And look, I'll always say this: this is not the fans' fault, but look, Dorgu has a good 4 games, and look, Scott, this is not a dig at you, mate. This is, I've heard this as well. Is that Dorgu plays 4 good games and he's suddenly Gareth Bale? We win 2 games, and I'm hearing of people thinking that we can win a league. I get it. I understand it. I've been accused already today, yesterday, that I'm a miserable bastard. Why aren't I happy? Why aren't I celebrating this team? And because the reason is because I've seen this before. I've seen this before. The moment you allow yourself to buy in to these players again, it's a massive fall. And I think, sadly, and maybe I'm wrong in this one, and this is why I think I have to take it game on game, is that you're so high, the fall is huge. If you don't rise up too high, you can still aim for the stars, but take your time. Now, if you go shooting off and you fail, the fall is heavy. But sometimes if you just take your time, step by step, you get there. So, Jamie says Ruben Neves. I still think it's going to be one of Neves, Ndidi, Loftus-Cheek. Don't rule Loftus-Cheek out. Don't rule him out. It's going to be cheap. It's going to be cheap. The clickbait stand saying mystery player in the next few days. Obviously, like we've been saying on here for quite some time. It's going to be a cheap player. It's going to be a cheap loan player. Now, I've never once said, even since back end when I went to Finland, I did some streams on there when people were talking about Semenyo. People were talking about, we're sticking in bids for Semenyo. I saw all of the big channels. We're in for Semenyo. Are we going to get Semenyo? We're in for him. It makes sense. Blah, 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 blah. I've been saying, and even when they put in Anderson, Belabor, and we've done it today. I've put it on here because we needed to talk about it once more. Ornstein's putting out the propaganda, right? And I've been saying, and we've been saying on here since October, we're not going to make a signing, and if we do, it's going to be a loan and a very cheap sign. I've been specific on that. This channel has been very, very specific. And now, Scott, the reason why they're saying there's a mystery player is because they haven't got a fucking clue. Like, I was told, and I told you guys on here to watch out for a Loftus-Cheek. A couple of days before the other channels, Loftus-Cheek never happened, right? But I got told that, and guess what? The rumours were rife. We were looking at him, right? The reason why I've not mentioned anything else is because I've not been told like anything else, because it is under wraps. So it's the reason why they're saying that there is a mystery player is because no fucking knows. It is. And again, I could have led with that tonight. There's a mystery player again. It's not a mystery player. It's going to be Ndidi. It's going to be a Neves. The club. And again, this is what we need to realise: this club is keeping you guessing. The club wants this week to piss off. The club wants this week to just go. the club wants this week to just fucking fly by. So, and this is why they're going mystery plays, because you are, and also don't forget protests on Sunday. Protests are on Sunday. They will make a signing. They will make some sort of signing. They are shitting themselves. Look. This is what people need to realise this week. The reason why David Ornstein has been clambering around to talk about Belabor and Anderson, distract you, Belabor and Anderson, a Walton. Oh, look, guys, look over here, because the protests are on a Sunday. There's a reason why they're coming out. There's a reason. I'm not saying that the biggest channel. I'm not going to allege anything. Now, I don't know if they get stuff from the club. I have no idea. But is there a coincidence that all these people are putting it out there now about the summer again? They're putting it out there about Neves again. They're putting it out there today. You've got to look beyond the obvious. Sally says, if Ahmad goes to the left, we have Cunha fighting for the left and striker, and Mbumo Lacey for mate. I like that, Sally, mate. I do. I really do. Mystery player, who could it be? No one. Exactly. Do you want Cole Palmer? Now, Logan, and again, look, mate, getting your stuff. I've got some stuff to go through. We can fact bust. Tonight, that's easy for me to say. We can fact bust tonight as well. Do I want Cole Palmer? Look, it's not a case of do I want a Cole Palmer? It's Goldbridge as a fucking melt, says Dina. Do I want Cole Palmer? Who doesn't want one of the best players in the Premier League, right? If we're talking conceptually, and we're talking about, look, who doesn't want a Haaland? Who doesn't want a Cole? Who doesn't want a Cole Palmer, right? But the facts are these: is that realistically, Palmer's on a 9-year deal, right? He's going to be very, very, very expensive, and I'm talking he's going to be Isaac money. He's going to be that sort of money, unless he goes on strike. And even then, what we saw was Isaac still went for the best part of 130 million, right? Chelsea, I'm not bothered. They've got him on a 9-year deal, so there's no way, unless he basically just decides to stop playing. And if that is the case, I don't want him. I don't want a player who is prepared to down tools. I don't want that. Second of all, I don't want a player that Chelsea don't want, Mason Mount. Mason Mount all over again. And also as well, Cole Palmer, injuries, 23 years old. Look, he could probably come out of those injuries, right? But it's just for me right now, is when you're asking me to spend £130 million on a player, injured already at 23 significantly. And look, we need a team. We need a team. We could buy for the cost of a Cole Palmer. We should be getting at least 2 or 3 players, or that money there for at least 2 players. It's almost a bit like you buy the cherry for the cake, but you've not made the cake yet. What is the point in bringing in that player? Now, look, the only time I would have considered it, and this is where I would have considered it, and this is, is that if Bruno Fernandes, because I think it's a straight swap, right? If you'd have got 100 for Bruno Fernandes, you put the 100 down for a Cole Palmer, add another 30, 100%. 100%. But guess what? We didn't do that. So unless we sell Bruno Fernandes for like 80 million. So look, would I like Cole Palmer? 100%. But it's just not feasible in my opinion. We won't pay a recall fee for his wages. Goldbridge, he makes me laugh, says he's got good sources, saying the new players come in, then nothing. And the first thing he says is, I told you we wouldn't sign anyone. He needs to go back to Postman Pat. I mean, look, I've been adamant on here about, and look, it's up to him, innit, really? So, Nick says, please be respectful to the host and members of the chat. I'm guessing somebody's been rude. Pack it up, pal. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I love it. I thought Goldbridge was a policeman before he became brilliant, brilliant. Scott says we don't need toxic energy back in the dressing room, and if he doesn't picked, he'll split his dummy out. Exactly, I do agree with you. If I can't read your name, but hi, my friend, Detective Pikachu. Hi and bye. I'm not sticking around. Says Sky. Hello, Sky. Hope you're doing extremely well. No to Rashford. Manchester United should sign players. I agree with you. I agree with you. I am with you. I am with you. We've got to sign players. We've got to sign players. Bell was explosive. Yazrobi, I heard Lacey is open to a loan move as well. We've got people in this chat tonight. Yeah, we have. Just get them out of here. Mateta is just a battering ram. Is something we don't have and probably desperately need. I really like Mateta. We need that. We need that horrible like elbows, arms, like you just imagine this, right? Imagine you get, let's just say Shesko, right? Imagine you're dealing with a sort of young gun who's quite tall, and particularly when Shesko gets better, right? So you're dealing with somebody that's quite tall, can head the ball down, is going to get better and better and better. And then imagine then for the last like half an hour, you've got to then not only have you had to deal with him because he is rangy, he's all arms and elbows, and then you then got to come on with a Mateta who's going to come in and basically batter you again. Or you start with a Mateta, he batters you around for like an hour, and then Mbeumo goes up there, or Cunha, So I do think that a Mateta would be a great signing. If Tony has a bet on United to get to the Champions League, then I'll sign him up. Going to be jobless in 2 days, 4 kids to look after, a house to pay, car to run. Sky, mate, look, I hope Sky that it gets better. That Sky, much respect for me. Look, and Sky, look, serious, there are more important things in life than this channel. Life is tough, Sky. And look, there are more important things than this. And look, we are all thinking about you, Sky. So, look, do not be shy. But look, I do hope things improve, Sky. Haaland is still playing with the fluff from Martinez's his pocket. I would describe Haaland as pocket lint. Lucas says, "Congrats on the win against Arsenal." But how good is this? Right, 2 days after, we're going into the third day, and we beat. Look, it still feels amazing. Look, this is what I want these players to understand. Right, instead of these players looking at Instagram or YouTube, looking at what pundits are saying, looking at all the negativity, go on to fan channels. I'm not talking about here, but if I was them, I would come on this channel, right? Look at what your fans are saying. Look how happy we are. Look how happy you've made people, and then take that away with you and go, wow, like me playing on a Sunday, a Saturday, I'm getting paid millions of pounds a year, and all I've got to do once a week is turn up and play well. I've got to turn up and do my job. And come to these fan channels and just listen. Just read the comments. Listen to, people criticize you, right? I am. People can argue I've been the worst for that, and I think these players do deserve it at times, right? But then it doesn't stay. People don't hold a grudge. Football is very much you're only as good as the last result. Come on, this week, look, the last 2 weeks, look, these players. If you want to know, even your biggest critics like me, right? You can turn me around, and I don't mean in that way because I'm not that type. But you can turn a fan base around by winning games. And look, this week is even if you're not playing, even if you're nervous about the game, look at these channels and look at the impact that you guys have had and take that away. I mean, just like, how cool is it? The whole fan base, millions of people this week are giving you the credit that you should be getting. Just keep on doing it, lads. Just keep on doing it. Grain says, hi. Ray Sampson says, got another hot take, but it might not be a hot take. Look, Ray Simpson, bring in those hot takes, buddy. Bring in those hot takes. Like the shirt, CR7 forever. Peace. SS Rest says, games like Fulham are bread and butter. The most common types of games we have to prove we are capable in those games. Then I'll get carried away. And SS Red, you are so right. You are so right. Though, look, even if Fulham is a damp squid and we get through the game and we win, we go to Spurs. Look, Fergie, people were under this illusion that towards the back end of a Premier League season, that Fergie teams used to blow teams away. They were consistently the best teams. They were consistently the best teams, but they didn't consistently play the best. There were times towards the back end of a season where after a 60-game season, these players would be knackered and they would have scrappy wins. And if we're fighting for top 4 or top 5, those are the games that are going to get you top 4 and 5. And I don't mind now. If we are in a dogfight, and this is the dogfight, because let's be honest, the league this season isn't great. We're in a dogfight, so it's going to be a dogfight. So I'm not expecting these games to be easy. I'm not expecting us to play like the way we did against City and Arsenal. I'm expecting it to be a fight. And my question is to these players: are you up for a fight? Are you up for Fulham at home? Are you up for West Ham away? And I mean, I don't know how many people have been to West Ham's ground. No disrespects to West Ham. I used to live around the corner from West Ham Stadium. The new stadium where it's at is a depressive shithole. And look, I don't mean that and I'm sorry to the people that live there. But if you've ever been to Stratford, it's a shithole. I'm sorry, right? I basically used to pass it every single day for work, right? The Stratford ground is on my way to work, right? I used to go past it every single day. What a shithole. I'm sorry. But can United get up for that sort of game? Can United get themselves up to go to the back end of London in some ground that's behind a fucking train station? And I mean, it is not the best. Upton Park was fantastic. Those are the games I want to see them. Can they go to the Toffees? Can they go to their brand new ground? But they're buzzing. They're going to be buzzing to win. Can they go to those games? So you're absolutely spot on to me. Let's have a little look at what we're saying. I'm here if you need guys, the community, guys. Look, this is one of the things I will say about this community is the support for other people in here is immense. So like, get into this amazing community. I know sometimes the chat can get a little bit fraught. I get that, I do, but you know, you guys are legends. Loftus on the cheap, says Nikarutsu. Been saying it for a while. If we sign anyone, it'll be a loan or nothing. All we have done is window shop. Killian says, "What's the F, man?" Don't know, buddy. Mystery player is not setting us any expectation. Turns out to be someone mediocre we've never heard of, or are they waiting to reveal a big superstar which has already been completed? Look, I would, if that was to happen, it would show ambition. Would I be dancing around the street? Would I be jumping up and down? No. I would be like, right, okay, this club is serious. I would be right. Things are trying to change. If we were to do something like that, I would be like, wow, okay, this is this is my problem, is that just because we buy one player, just because we win 2 games, we just have to take each step. But Nikarutsu, mate, I would be stunned. I would be stunned, and I would congratulate them. Jordan Watson says hello from Newcastle. Hello, buddy. Hope you're doing extremely well. Offer Harry Maguire 1-year deal and cut price wage. Ray Simpson, mate. Again, I don't think that's a hot take, mate. Ray, I credit to you, buddy. I think that is a very sensible thing to say. Look, as much as I want players to go, we can't get rid of all the experienced players. Look, if Casemiro is going to go, look, Casemiro, right? His legs are gone, and he's not the same player that he was, right? That's a fact, right? But what he does bring is he brings an aura. He does bring an aura to the club. He's by all accounts a good guy to have there, and the guy knows what it's like to win the Champions League. 5 times? So when you get rid of that sort of player, irrespective sometimes on whether or not their legs have gone. Maguire, I think, should probably stay. And I would offer him maybe a rolling 1-year deal, but his wages do have to come down. I think for me to make it work, he's got to bring the wage down. So I would just offer him a 1-year deal. Look, Maguire this season has proved to me, look, he may drop off a cliff, but I can live with Maguire on a year's contract, 120k a week. We've got to maintain some of that experience. Luke Shaw is going to be here. And again, Luke Shaw's experience, I don't know. That's a whole new chat for me. Palmer will be 120 plus. Palmer's price rules us getting him out. Exactly. We got Michael Jackson in the chat. Harry Kane. Yeah, I do agree. If we get silly for Bruno, do you splash it all on one palm or a couple of signings? Well, that is the question. I would personally go and get a new team. I think the Palmer stuff, maybe you look at that next year. I think if we've got silly money, I think we need to go and invest in about 5 players. This is Thriller. Amazing. They better not bring players that are not better than what we've already got. United needs to sign Baleba, says Amos, Elliot Anderson, and a new centre back. I think Baleba will come, but I think Amos, what we've got to consider, I think this is really important for us to consider, is money. and we've got to get Champions League, mate. We've got it. If we don't get the Champions League, forget it. Forget it. As much as I love Palmer, it feels sensible to sign multiple players. Up front, Cunha, Kane, and Boomer. See, now, look, I like that. I like Kane. I wouldn't mind doing the Kane like a Cavani, like a Zlatan sort of deal. I think Kane would be perfect for that, but not on the wages that he's on now. It's Kane for me would be a difficult deal to do because I wouldn't want him at this club getting paid ridiculous sums of money. If we got Harry Kane for free, that's a different story. If we got Kane for a cut price, say 15 million free, I would like that. I think what Harry Kane would bring to this squad. And look, he's not super old. If Cavani can come into this league and Zlatan can come back, and look, Zlatan is Zlatan, but if those two players can come back into this league, Harry Kane can as well. So I wouldn't mind Harry Kane, but I think the numbers would have to be right. City fan here, respect to United for putting up a show against City and Arsenal. Look, City fans, look, I absolutely love that. Thanks. Look, I if anything about me, I respect all fans. At the end of the day, you can't help who you support. We are fans. We all do the same thing. Obviously, there are people that come on here and they are arseholes. But Raya, you come on, mate. You give respect. You get respect, right? The one thing I will say is my first instinct is to give people respect. And look, it doesn't matter like who you support, buddy. Respect obviously is earned, but look, you come onto the channel, you give me the time of day, you get my respect. If Verts costs 120, Bruno is nothing below 100. Simple. Kane is too slow now. No Kane, he's old. John Bolton loves Army says, hi JB, aka James Bond. You look so handsome today. Look, thanks, mate. Look, John, I try my hardest. I try. It's a difficult job as somebody like has to do it, mate. Legend. Thank you, buddy. Kane's still a decent player. What about the lad from Bournemouth? He's on fire. That's Igor Jesus? Is it? I think. Kane is excellent, and because he's older, it will be much cheaper. And then a DM to replace Casemiro. Hope it all works out, mate. Suave, legend. What is it about this channel that tracks Galatasaray fans? I don't know, mate. I don't know. What do you think of Harry Wilson from Fulham? Harry Wilson for me, Sully, and again, look, I think you make a good point, right? So I would put Harry Wilson in the category of, if you're looking for world-class strikers to win a league or win a Champions League, is Shesko that right now? No. There are very, very few strikers who are in that league, right? Osimhen, you probably could put him in there. Kane at the moment, Mbappe, Haaland, those sorts of strikers, right? Then you've got the next tier down, and I think he wouldn't be a necessarily a fashionable player, but I would have him as one of those strikers who we used to do it. We were very fortunate, but we had the likes of Andy Cole, Dwight York, Sheringham, a Solskjaer. I'm not suggesting that Harry is of that sort of ilk, but those sorts of players to have on the bench to come on, who knows, would he come to the club and would he push on? So now I am not adverse to those sorts of signings, but I just think we need a an established striker first, and then somebody like that, if you could get them on a free to bring in, why not? If you couldn't support United, who would you support, Logan? I mean, mate. Jesus Christ. I have no idea, mate. I have no idea, mate. I don't know, buddy. It's difficult. It's difficult because I don't see teams in any other way. The only team I would probably support would be Swansea City. But other than that, that would be it, I think. John Bolton says, "Sky, hope you find a new job." And guys, look, I look, give your love and support to Sky. I'm going to Old Trafford on Sunday, 2:00 kickoff against Fulham. Look, Lynn Wright, legend, and I will always say this: I have amazing respect for the match going fans. This week I have learned that not all match going fans feel the same way about me as I do about them. But irrespective of those people, I will always respect the match going fans. To me, a fan is a fan. It doesn't matter if you live in Essex. Doesn't matter if you live in India. Doesn't matter if you live in Canada, Texas. Doesn't matter if you don't watch the games. A fan is a fan is a fan, but I do have a lot of respect for the match going fans because look, Lynn, you've had to go to these games and watch these players for the last 18 months stink the place out, and hopefully now, Lynn, they can turn that around and they can give you another good performance. Nab says, "What do you think? Who's going to win? Who's going to win this season?" Who do I think is going to win this season? I don't know. I don't know. History would dictate. So from this position where we are now, history would dictate that City would go on and win the league, because City are more than capable of putting a run together and not losing till the end of the season. However, it is not a normal season. Aston Villa, I don't know if City and Arsenal drop a couple of more points and Aston Villa can just draw those points back, I don't know, this has got a feel of one of those seasons where, like a Leicester season, where Aston Villa can they just hold it together? But if I was a betting man, I would probably bet City from this point. But look, it is Arsenal's to lose. It is still Arsenal's to lose. They've still got the more points. Let's see. Emma says keep Bruno. Arsenal going to do the same shit what they did the last 21 years. Arthur Body says United team need to watch Chasing the Sun Springbok rugby documentary about making the people of South Africa happy, and now they're double world champions. Exactly. SS Red says the internet isn't ready for when we inevitably get back to winning major titles. If they think we're in SS Red, mate, look, if United get back into any way, shape, or form into being anywhere near a box office club again, you watch. This league will be better again. This league will be more exciting again. People, there are certain teams, right, whether people like it or not, and this may not happen. In the next 20, 25 years, this may completely change, right? But there are certain teams that when they are in a competition or when they're doing well, they just make things better. You've got Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich. I'd probably put Liverpool in there as well. Maybe that's a controversial take to have. Liverpool, us. There are certain teams that when they're not there, when they're not doing well, when there's, I would love a title race, Liverpool and us. I mean, that would smash viewing figures. If it was a title race between us and Liverpool, bang and bang, like the Premier League, their viewing figures would absolutely get destroyed. Watch alongs for the channels. Can you imagine the rivalry between both sets of fans? It would probably be one of the best Premier League seasons ever. And that's what I mean. So, I don't think the Premier League is ready for a United team to be bright. Ready for United to not be back in a sense of, we're back and we're going to win the league every season. That would be great. But just back in terms of just making the place good again, pissing off fans again. Can you imagine if we come back and Chelsea drop off of the conversation? If Newcastle drop out of the conversation, if these teams that have replaced us in these conversations and we come back in again, it is going to piss people off. Sam the Man says, hello brother from Minamar. Hello mate. If we win all match, we're going to be champions. Congrats on the wins at Arsenal. Thanks buddy. 4-0 United versus Fulham, mate. I am liking that. I am liking the confidence. I'm not going to do it now, but when we're closer to the match, I will give you my opinion. Thomas Frank rides the Arsenal board. Aaron Cook says, I've never said this, but Eddie Howe needs to F off. This isn't the Newcastle I used to. And Aaron Cook, mate, that is a interesting opinion to know what Newcastle fans are and where they are. Newcastle, for me, I think very, very unfortunate to get the owners in that you've had and you've been shackled, right? Aaron, you tell me, Aaron, right? Because I don't know what Newcastle football is. Right? I'll tell you what I think it is, and you tell me, right? So I remember the days of Philip Albert. I remember Philip Albert. Was it Serdacek? Ginola, Peter Beardsley, Aspria, those sorts of players. And I just remember Newcastle kind of just being quite a passionate team. But I wouldn't. Newcastle for me were always a bit like up and down. You sort of had that era where you could have won the league, got into the Champions League, and then you sort of had this spell of whereby Championship up and down. I don't know what Newcastle are in terms of, I don't know what your style of play is. It's don't get me wrong, like as a fan base, as a stadium, you support your team, you're loyal, you love your players, you adore your players. I don't know, Aaron, and I mean this, I genuinely don't know what Newcastle fans mean by like your club. Like I would love to know, because I just don't know. JB needs some new glasses after throwing him on Sunday. So he says, I get it, but he's the one that you've got back to the good old days. Hello from Newcastle. JB, get a monocle. At the end of the day, champers. Ronaldo come back on Manchester. Your thoughts? Look, mate, he's done, buddy. Look, Cristiano, I love him. Amazing player. But for me, his time his time is done. I never said this, but Eddie Howe needs to fuck off. You're always live, haha. Chelsea fan got a whole lot of attitude. Have a look. He's not coming to your bum ass club. Oh, Chelsea super fan, come on. Your bum ass club is not. Chelsea, I know Palmer is not coming, but no need to be weird about it. Chelsea probably going to spend another billion and still. But I mean, to be fair, right? I mean, it's probably one of the least insulting things I've heard. Your bum ass club. I mean, of all the insults in the world to use, a bum ass club. Come on. Kane for 20. Ricardo says Joyce. Kane for 20 million is RVP level of business. I think it would be. I do think it would be. Barry says hi. Spurs will get relegated if they carry on. Who they have support Spurs these days? See ya. I'm gonna go to bed. I have college tomorrow. I have 3 exams. Look, Aaron. Good luck with the exams, buddy. I hope you do well, mate. Thomas, the Frank engine, finally run out of steam. Spurs are run poorly. Nobody and the culture is losing. So complicated Spurs job is hard too. This community is growing. No, it is. I mean, look, you guys make this community amazing. It grows. And literally every streamer grows. So, very, very lucky. Hartman says, I think Arsenal is in this season the best team in Europa. I don't know. Look, factually, they are the best team. I don't know if form's going to hit them. Nothing without the mighty Glazers and Sir Jim, says Oxmells. Mate, look, you've got your view, mate. Well, to be fair, Oxmells, we're nothing without them and nothing with them either. Sleep well too. This is an amazing community. Love this channel. Everyone's really respectful in here, and credit to JB. Look, Switch. It can only be as good and respectful as you guys on here. And look, I'll always say this channel just doesn't exist without you guys. So, Sally says, Harry Wilson is more of a Cam hybrid of Bruno and Mount. United is back, baby. Our greetings from Galatasaray fans. Hello, buddy. Paul, I don't know who that is. Might be a pricey spend, but a good player. Arsenal best team in Europe. Oh, whatever you were smoking. Who's better, Bruno Guimaraes or Bruno Fernandes, Joe Linton or Dorgu? Aaron, look, those are some good. That's some good questions. If you're talking, right, if you're talking overall, Fernandes. If you know this channel and you've been here before, I am critical of Fernandes. I've said things about him over the last 18 months. I am not his biggest fan. If you're talking about the last 18 months, Guimaraes, I think, has been better. And people will go, but I think he has. Joe Linton has been more consistent than Dorgu as well. I would say that if you're spanning over Fernandez's career, look, Fernandes is the superior player, right? The question is now, you can start to have that debate now over the last 18 months or so. Let's call it a year. But I would probably say Fernandes is still the better player. Guimaraes, look, I don't know how old he is. I think he's still younger. So I think what's going to happen is if Guimaraes stays, Bruno Fernandes is getting older and older and older. So his game will slip off a little bit and Guimaraes will get better. But I think long-term, Fernandes, for me, is the superior player. Jolinton or Dorgu, again, Dorgu's only just come into his own, and I think they're different positions as well. So I think, again, whereas Guimaraes, I think is inferior to Bruno Fernandes over the length of a career. Doesn't mean that Gimenez can't get better. And Joe Linton is the reverse of that. I think he's been better. I think he's been in the Premier League for longer. I think he's a different type of player. But Dorgu's got the future. So, I think it's swings and roundabouts. Rob is in the house, legend. Eden JB and all the chat. Big up, guys. Rob is a legend. Hope you're doing extremely well, buddy. There's only so many seats in Old Trafford at the end of the day. Daenerys says the games we lost against the bottom teams and drawn have cost us. We would be leading the league right now. I'm a Newcastle fan, and I think it's time we look for new managers. Villa, City, United, Arsenal, then Liverpool. Scott says Villa, City, United, Arsenal, then Liverpool. That's my top 5. Villa, the team with the least pressure. That might be the difference in the season. Exactly. What's your favourite NFL team? I don't follow NFL, right? But I remember back in the day, I used to play Madden and all that sort of stuff. So the 2 teams I remember from that are the Falcons and the Dolphins. So for me, if I was to pick a team on the basis of the teams that I remember when I was a child, was probably the Miami Dolphins. Those would be the teams. Arsenal will not win the league. Stop talking garbage. City going to win the league. Mine is the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos as well. Yeah. The Denver Broncos. United won't lose no more Premier League games this season. We're going to win and draw the rest of the games left in the season. It will be first City, second Arsenal, third Villa, fourth, I'm guessing, us. I think Arsenal fans are delusional. Sorry, I joined late, but what happened to Dorgu? Dreamers, Dorgu's out for 10 weeks. I think this is a potential season ender. I do. I think if we're talking 10 weeks, what's that take us? 10 weeks is what, 2.5 months? 2.5 months takes us to February, March, April. Players don't tend to come back early. Players don't tend to rush back. I think we're talking mid-April, back end of April. So and Dorgu, I don't know if Dorgu's going to go to a World Cup, is he? But I think this is a season ender for Dorgu. He might be back at the back end, but when you're talking 10 weeks, you're talking what? That's 2.5 months. And what's that? February, March, April. I think he's probably done for the season. How many people have told you you look like Steve Jobs today? Not many, mate. Not many today. JB Jobs. I was going to say something else then about Steve Jobs, but I'm not going to say it. If you take the J and the B and you change them round, and then from Nigeria, thanks, buddy. Deadlock, India, glory to Man United. Nayab says my second favourite team is United because of my idol, Steve Jobs. Go Bridge is our people should watch Mark Goldbridge. You might not sound so clueless, mate. I've seen you before. Look, we get a lot of Goldbridge fans on here, and I love it because I think it's testament to the channel that we get compared to such a massive channel. I actually don't take it as an insult. I actually take it as a positive, because it means that we're actually doing quite well. We should give Lacey a start against Fulham. Dorgu out for weeks with a hamstring injury. That's a huge blow. United 3-0 win versus Fulham. Mark my comment. Are people being weird? Okay, spammers. Uh, guys, you guys are on it tonight. The chat is absolute on it tonight. Rooney is one of the best right of his shit. Deadlock India, yes, mate. I'm doing extremely well. Oh God, people are on it tonight, aren't they? City, Galatasaray. What's your score prediction? If are Galatasaray at home, if Galatasaray are at home, I can see them beating City. You know, I can see them beating City 2-1. It could be a draw 2-2. What do you think about Bruno is better than? What do you think Bruno is better than Kevin De Bruyne? I'll tell you my opinion. Right, is I think the difference is this. Right, is if Bruno Fernandes was in that City side, Bruno Fernandes would have done what he did. Right. Look, you know, two players of the same sort of cloth. I think KDB was probably more of a silky player, but I think Fernandes is probably more of an all-action sort of player. But De Bruyne, look, whether people like him or not, you know, I'm gonna back my home player. So I think Bruno Fernandes is the better player. I'm gonna back my own player. You know, I'll always back my own. Just because I'm not necessarily enthused by Bruno Fernandes in like the last year or so. He's still been one of our best players, and I will always back our own player. So, Manchester United is true, but do you know what I love? I love those comments. I love those comments that basically are those low comments that are basically, oh, you don't live in Manchester, you support United, oh, nice accent, and I'm like, but you do know that the majority of, I think it's close to 1 billion fans, right? The reason why United are so good with their fans and the reason why they make so much money is because they're not a local club. Is because they're so successful. They made fans love the club. I just don't get it. Scott says Kevin De Bruyne is better than Bruno. Look, that might be the case, Scott, but I'm gonna back our own. I'm just lurking. I'm in banning mode. Thank you, Sky. Fernandes has been performing miracles in the dysfunctional club in the world over the last half a decade. Eric says whoever is going to allow the signing of Ndidi must resign immediately. And and Eric, I agree with you. You know, this mystery player. So look, one of the things I wanted to mention as well was in the rumours today is a player called Mohamed Kader Meïté. So Meïté is a Rennes striker. He's been linked to us today. Now look, we're getting linked to Cole Palmer, all sorts of targets, but Meïté today is one of those targets that is quite a specific target. He's 18 years old. Price wise, 30 million. I mean, you know, is this going to be one for next season? Are we going to? Is the signing going to be that Meïté? Is it going to be a young 18-year-old from Rennes? The reason why I mention it, the reason why I bring it in, is because that is the sort of deal that United would do, because 30 million is not a is not a massive sum of money to them. And what I mean is that he's 18 years old, right? If you say to Rennes, we'll pay you that over 4 years, he's 18 years old, 30 million quid. If you have him for 3 seasons, he'll be worth the same money. He'll still be young. It's something. There's something about that Meïté today, 18-year-old. You know, it's got very, very much the same vibes as who's the striker that we were after when he went to Chelsea. That young striker that like hasn't played. I can't remember his name now. Liam Thingamabob. It basically reminds me of that sort of signing. Now, I don't think that we will do, because I don't think we've got the money to do it. But I think that's the sort of signings, because don't forget, we like to follow the Chelsea model. This ownership and this football structure is a massive fan of that type of player. Young star in the making player. 30 million for that sort of player, to them, is sort of worth that money. When you take that 30 million and you go and get a Gallagher for that money, you go and get a Neves, right? It almost seems to me like this club would rather go and spend 30 million on an 18-year-old striker rather than go and get a player that we need in the midfield who's 28, 15 million. So I don't think that it will happen, but I don't know. There's something weird. There's something weird about this team and these 18-year-old signings who are going to be potential stars. So that's one out of left field. Ndidi, look, I think I'm convinced. The same as Eric there. I am convinced Ndidi is going to be the guy. I just think there's too much noise. And I think that United, it's almost a bit like when you tell your family that you've met somebody, right? And it could be a guy, could be a girl, fine. And you tell everybody the whole week that you're going to bring around, and like they're all asking you, can you send us pictures of this new girl or guy, and you're like, no, I'm going to physically bring her around and you're not going to see her, right? And then you take her into the front door, you open the front door, and him or her, and people are just like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, we can see why. We can see why you didn't want to send us pictures. We can see, and look, I'm being mean, but it's happened to us all. Like, I'm not perfect, but it's a bit like that. They're almost embarrassed to bring their player home. It's almost they're like a bit embarrassed to bring this player in. Like they know they need a girlfriend. They know they need a date. They know they need somebody to go to the party with because they've got to, and they basically find the best man or woman that they can. You bring them to the party, and everyone's a bit like, is that it? So that is what I think that they're doing. They fucking know who they're going to sign. They're literally not going to announce it until later on because they know it's going to be shit. Because they know it's going to be crap. So, and I agree with you. Now it says, if you had to choose in your team, who would it be, Bruno or Kevin De Bruyne? I can't have that. I can't have that debate. I can't have it. I can't do it. Whether or not Kevin De Bruyne or Bruno is better, Bruno Fernandes, I'm going to pick him because he's our player. Simple as that. Maybe, Nayab, if we had this conversation in a pub, different, but, I'm not Nicky Butt. I'm not going to say things on here and then people can, clip me up on it. Greg Anderson says San Francisco. Scott says KDB all day long. No comment for fuck's boundaries. So look what we're saying in here. Some MF said Saka is better than some MF said Saka is better than 2008 Ronaldo. I'd love to know what they're smoking then, because that is ridiculous, right? Eric says we don't need Ndidi, we want Baleba, Anderson, Neves, Ruben Neves. Yeah. 2 and then 1 says hi, hello, hi there. How you doing? Pure Amaze is back in the house. I hope you're doing extremely well, my friend. Absolute legend, mate. Really, really nice to see your name in the chat. Never understood why people flock to the Forest fan. Goldfish. SS Red, look, no, I don't know him. I don't watch the channel. I don't have any views and opinions on it. Look, at the end of the day, I know how difficult this is to do. I mean, I've got fucking dog's abuse. I mean, I've been this week. I've been threatened. I've been all sorts of stuff. So I get it, right? But I think SS Red. I think there are communities like this, and there are channels like this who are trying to do something different. And look, I'm not taking away from what they do. That they've got massive numbers. They employ people. They've got a studio from amazing numbers, right? But I think people are looking for alternatives. And I think people are, want real chat. So, because he's a dickhead and everyone likes a dickhead. Amazing. Congrats on beating Arsenal, mate. What a performance. Thanks, buddy. Loco is better. Callum says, what a transformation by Carrick, legend at the club and manager, giving the contract, right man for the job, 100%. And look, Callum, the one thing that I like, even though I don't necessarily agree with that just yet, right, Callum, what I do like is I like the positivity. I would much rather, whether I look, I don't agree with it just yet, right? But I would much rather people be on here saying that I want Carrick in the job, we've won these games, because what that means is that we're doing well. And I would much rather have those chats than us be talking about Amrin's going to play a back three again. Amrin's going to do this. And again, we'll have that season ending chat towards the end of the season, right? But right now, I think it's so important. After the shit 4-5 months, that I think it's encouraging. Like, I don't agree with it. I think it's too early, but be happy. I think it's so important for people to have these chats now, because it's so much nicer having these chats and be talking about a back three and Sally says De Bruyne has more finesse and less running. I would agree with that. I would say De Bruyne is a bit more like Silk. Baba Yaga says hello from Romania. Nobody on from Russia, and I don't know English well. JB is a Manca heart. I am a Manca heart, mate. I am a Manca heart, mate. That side, yeah. Scott, I hope you're okay. Look, we all wish you well, Sky, and look, I do hope that you feel better soon. And look, you've got our support here. Whatever little support that we can offer, we've got that support here. Who has United signed so far? Do you mean in this window? Because if you mean in this window, we've signed jack shit. If you're talking about Ineos, Dorgu, Shesko, Cunha, in Bumo. they've signed. I can't remember I can never pronounce that Colombian's name. The young kid, Orozco, and Leon as well. Pele, Ronaldo, Messi, Maradona. Rank them. Raj, for me personally, Maradona for me is number one. Look, people of different eras have different idols. So for me, Messi. So for me, Maradona. Then Pele. Look, I love Pele. You know, for me, when I was a young child, all the way up to Jesus, probably well into the thousands, the conversation was always Pele, and so Maradona for me is one, Pele is number two, Cristiano is number three, Messi is four. And look, it doesn't mean that I'm right. It just means that that's my view. It just means that I'm of an age where my legends are not the same as now. Look, Cristiano, you know, I was probably what 22 when Cristiano signed. I was well into my 20s when Cristiano became good. Messi became good. I was into my 30s. I mean, I'm literally, I think I am a year older than Cristiano, or I'm 2 years. I think I'm 2 years older than him, or like 18 months, right? So, you know, when Cristiano was 20, 23, starting to bang in the goals, I was 20, 24, right? So, as much as Cristiano and Messi are legendary players, and I've got no problem in people saying that those are the best two players of all time, but they are not my legends. They're not my legends. They are legendary players, and I will happily concede that they are probably the two best players that ever played the game, but they are not my legends. So for me, Maradona number one, Pele two, Cristiano three, and Messi four. Slaughter Edit says, if you could sign one player from your rival's team, who would you sign? I would sign. I think it'd either be Haaland. Like, I'm not going to lie, it'd either be Haaland, and I think Haaland is a piss easy choice. I do, but I think Haaland, would be an absolute beast. And I'd probably go for. I'm just trying to think. I like Szoboszlai. I do. Anyone at Arsenal. I like Declan Rice. Do you know, I'd probably go either Declan Rice or Haaland. I think I'd look at those two. I also like Rodgers as well, actually. So maybe one of Rodgers, Declan Rice, Haaland. Real versus Barcelona. Righteous high. I've answered that. Hope you have a good night's sleep. Exactly. Ronaldo 1, Messi 2, Pele 3, and Maradona 4. So Szoboszlai from Liverpool is top quality sim, and agree with you. I'm trying to be positive, but I'm failing, and everything everybody says is it making me want to launch my phone out of the front door. I've been there many a times. I've launched many a phone out of many a front door. I'm off to bed, JB, and members of the community. Have a great rest of the night. Nikarutsu, legend, my friend, and I hope you're doing extremely, extremely well. Grace says Diddy in. Diddy, can you imagine, Grace? Welcome to the chat. Grace is a legend. Can you imagine Diddy? I mean, can you imagine the stick that we're going to get from Diddy? I mean, Jesus Christ. Do you think United will sign anyone before the window closes? I do. I think we're going to sign N Diddy. And I've got to say this. I've got to say this to Grace. Grace, was, I don't know if anyone else was saying this outside of the channel, but Grace was one of the people, other than me, talking about Ndidi pretty much before most people were talking about it. So big up to Grace. Thoughts on Dorgu? Such a shame. Pure amaze. Look, I think it's such a shame. It just gives you an insight into Dorgu. I think it's a shame for him. I'm so glad, Pure amaze. What I am so glad that Dorgu did that before he's got injured, because he's shown this fan base, he's shown this club how good he is. So I'm glad he's done it. I'm not glad he's done it, but I'm glad he's done it whilst he's been great, because it then just goes to look, we're all going to be buzzing for when he comes back. We're all looking forward to it now. But imagine if Dorgu had got injured when he was playing. When he was playing that position, right? So when he was under Rubin and he was playing that left wing back position, imagine if he'd have been out then. We would have been just like, well, we don't care. But if it's going to happen, I'm glad it's happened now on the basis that we all know how good he is. Yes, lads. I must say I was the biggest United supporter when you guys played Arsenal. The big 6 games so far this season, yes. Half the UK was. Bring back Amarin, says Grace. The enemy of an enemy is my friend, exactly. Onana should be the replacement for Casemiro. He is better than Baleba and Anderson. I quite like him. Kelvin, legend, my friend. JB, how are you, mate? I'm doing extremely well, buddy, and nice to have you back in the chat, my friend. No one called Onana is don't want this club. Dalot, Scholes, Beckham, Rooney, Cristiano, Grace, we love it. JB hero is Jimmy Floyd. Jimmy Floyd have a wank. Yeah, when I was at school, Jimmy Floyd have a wank was fantastic player. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, brilliant. Shutter says hi, hello. SS Red. Maradona, sometimes Messi. And do you know what? SS Red, I think that was. I think I've just seen what Grace has said about me. It's true. SS Red. JB, you were 52 when Ronaldo came through. And she's back. Even JB, Maradona was a wizard. Yes, number one. Grace, JB was early 30s when England won the World Cup. Grace is back in the house. I'm loving a Grace who's back on form. Nuka says, is the glory back? No, it's the glory's back for a week. Look, the glory's been back for 2 weeks, and now we've got to go back to the hard work. Eric says we don't want Sancho, Rashford, the glass and the glasses are well, Diddy and his oil. It's great to finally be here. Henderson, legend, mate. Legend. Can Portugal win the World Cup? I think they can. I can hear the commentator saying, here comes Diddy running down the wing. It's going to be awful. Why not Ruben Neves, but Ndidi? Believe Dorgu will be back in April when the EPL gets hotter and crucial. I really hope so. So Smarticus says, I love United. Omar says United is blue. And he also calls us scum. Thanks, mate. I think scum is fine. I think scum is fine. It's crossing that line a bit. Oh no, you're talking to the. That's fine. Smarticus, that's fine. Smarticus, I take it back. Called him scum. I'm kidding, but no, look. It's quality. So look, guys. I will be back tomorrow. Another fantastic show. Grace says, "Fuck off." I love it. Look, I will be back tomorrow. I much prefer this show. I like a 9:30 show. Much better. As I say, the timings are going to slightly change on the channel for a little bit. I'll stream pretty much every day. I'll do like a day show, and then I'll do 2 evening shows a week, depending on if we get into the Champions League, but like that fucking miles off. But I'll do 2 half-9 shows a week, and then obviously depending on and then of course I will be back for the games as well. So when there's a game day and a Sunday morning as well. So when when I you two are mean. Scott Kent says, even the mate, do you reckon Cole Palmer will be a United player in the summer? I think it will be a very, very difficult deal to do. Never say never. Never say never. I just think it'll be a very, very difficult deal to do. I would say this. If Cole Palmer is willing to come to United and Chelsea know that there's a deal to be done, and Bruno Fernandes goes for a lump sum of money, I think we need to use that money on a rebuild of a squad. But United have a penchant for signing these big name signings. So I would say never. Right here and now, I think it'd be a difficult deal to do, but never say never. Grace says JB needs an early night. His age is catch up. Grace, you say it, but honestly, I am a tired man. But that's not the reason why, Grace. But I love your show, man. Good night. Thanks, Eric Fenerbahce. Scott says JB got to get up for his elderly morning meetup. Honestly, right, Scott, when you get over 40. Mate, right? It's like an overnight thing, right? Where you've got to wake up in the middle of a night for a piss. When you get out of bed, literally everything hurts. Mate, it's true. The Beefcake says Southgate links are active again. We should lined up for the summer. Oh, look, the Beefcake. I am not surprised. I wouldn't rule anything out. I think we've said this before. I know we have. There's videos that we've put out there before, and we've basically said if Amrin gets sacked, Southgate is going to come in. Let's see. Sean Tweed says you can insult bands of supporters without foul language. It's easy when they're losing. Exactly. Look, I always like to take the high ground. Right? It gives me satisfaction, right? And Sean, I think that's a very, very mature way to be, right? What I love is that you had Arsenal fans on here calling us all sorts of stuff, right? Calling us all sorts of stuff. Now I know many of you, when we won, and you're perfectly entitled to give it back to them, no problem at all. I just like to take the high ground. We've got all sorts of shit. Arsenal fans this week on here being very, very quiet, and I just smile because the best thing, the best banter in my view that you can give to people is you basically just smile and go. You don't need the best banter is when you don't need to say a word because they know what's happened. A team is made up of many players. Dorgu has his replacement. JB gotta go to his old people's home tomorrow morning for his. Look, don't knock tea and biscuits. Don't knock them. I do love a cup of tea. I'm not gonna lie. It's true. There's nothing more in life than when I go to the gym, I come back, and I'll have a cup of tea and a biscuit. The Beefcake says we need to sell Prattman. Players I want. The players I want us to add are Christian Romero, Amadou Ampadu, Adam Wharton, and Morgan Rogers. Cole Palmer is the replacement for Bruno. Yes, exactly. Scott says I'm close to 34 in April. 6 more years, mate. Fucking hell. When you're 40, I'm going to be 48. Jesus. We need to sell Bruno and get Palmer. Bruno has been a disgrace to this football club. Over 40 plus 10, says Grace. I love it. Them old man glasses, give it away, JB. No, these are not because I'm old. These are because there are certain things that I was always told would happen if I did things, that you'd go blind. The Diamonde rumor is dead. Yeah, I've not heard anything on that as well. Look, that was never happen. Look, that is not happening at the moment in this window. Diamante, I think that's his name, Diamonde. Look, he is the player that we do like. He's young, he's good, but the price tag is higher. So I would add that to the summer. Don't rule it out. This club likes the player, but those sorts of deals are going to be pushed through until the summer. Grace says his eyesight isn't what it used to be. JB needs. Oh yeah. What was her name? What was her name from Corrie? And she used to have the net for that. And she said, "Oh, lovely, absolutely, Ken, lovely. Oh, Ken, yeah." You don't go to the. Don't even. I'm not going to go there, Grace. I'm not going to go there. Do you remember the United chocolate bar in the 80s? I'm 53 years old. I don't. JB is a master debater. Look, mate, hands up. Yeah, I do. He needs glasses so he can find it, get it out. If I can't do it. I can't do it. It's, if I was to get it out on stream, I think what would happen is I'd get arrested. Yeah, I've been hanging around, but I'm now definitely off. Goodbye, JB. Look, Sky Legends. So look, I am definitely going to go as well. Being sick of being insulted by you guys. You're mean to me. No, I'm kidding. Grace, it's nice to have you back. And on form as well, Grace. So absolute legend. Can Fulham fall United after the greatest wins? Grace is quality. I think we're going to win. I will do a show on it as well, and we can talk about the game and we can talk about them again. I think that we win. I do. I need to think about it again, Grace, because I'm old. Exactly, Grace. You need to respect your. Your old people, Grace. You've got to help the aged. So you can't discriminate against me because I'm old. JB can take or just ask his. Guys, legends. Thank you for being here. Amazing show tonight. I loved it, you guys. I mean this. You make this channel fantastic. Without you guys, this doesn't exist at all. So look, guys, I will be back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow during the day. If anything breaks, if not, I will be back on Thursday. I'll be back Thursday. Yes, I will be back Thursday. Say pivot out. Pivot out. Yes, pivot. Was you in the Battle of Hastings? 1066, I believe that was. Yeah, I was. I was the guy that shot the arrow into Harold's eye. What can I say? I'm a legend. So guys, have a good rest of your evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. You guys are bloody legends. Oh, you guys are arseholes tonight. But I love you all to pieces. I will be back. I might be back tomorrow if anything breaks. If not, I'll see you on Thursday. Up yours. And I will see you soon. So look, take care. I'm JB. This is the United Devil channel. This community is mean. And I'll see you very, very soon. Take care.